Hey guys, welcome back to another puzzle. Today we have a very special puzzle. It's actually quite unique. I've never seen a puzzle like this before. So when I saw it, um, I knew I had to try this out. So it is something that I recently learned is called a contour puzzle, which is essentially a puzzle that's not a traditional rectangle or square. All the sides are actually um, contoured to the shape of the puzzle. So in this case, it's called I Am Bluebird by Madd Capp, and you can see that the puzzle is actually a shape of a bird. So that is pretty cool. If you look in the back here, let me see if I can give a good outline here. So you can see that's what it looks like. Uh, it is 300 pieces, so it's pretty small. It's probably one of the smallest puzzles I've done, but yeah, it's kind of cool. You can see that the bird is actually like the bird is the shape of the puzzle, so there's gonna be no actual edge pieces here. So um, it's there's gonna be like I'm actually so excited for this because I've never seen this kind of puzzle before. So again, these are called contour puzzles, and I've seen well now that I've seen this one, I've been on a lookout for them, and I think I've seen a few more as I browsed around. So um, definitely expect more in the future. I do want to try more of these, but this might be a bit of a better picture of what it looks like. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice, cool bird that we're gonna build today, and let's just see how this goes. It is 300 pieces, so I expect this to be relatively quick, but at the same time, I'm not sure how this whole um, you know, I'm not sure how the non-traditional border is gonna work for me. Usually, I go for the edge pieces first, but I don't know what to go for here. So we'll see how this goes. I have no idea what to expect. Um, yeah. So the first thing I do, as usual, get all the pieces and start organizing things. So since this is only 300 pieces, I felt that you know what I can actually fit pretty much all the pieces on the board without having to uh, put them outside of the border here. So um, what I started here was again I it's the first time doing a contour puzzle. I tried to find the border pieces first. Then I realized the border pieces are not very clear. One thing about this puzzle is because it's a contour puzzle, sometimes you can see what a border piece would be. A border pieces in this case, because I know it's a bird, a lot of the border pieces are actually quite, uh, I guess, curvy, circular. But then I realized later that a lot of the curvy places or pieces are actually also within the puzzle itself. So I realized that this was not gonna work out very well. I see I'm at 25 minutes now, and I think what I started doing was I think was still going for the border. I know I knew there was parts of the puzzle that were a pretty straight edge, so those were a bit easier to do. But I realized very quickly that this is not gonna work out, especially for the blue parts. I think I did a good chunk there, but you can see that it's just not going very well. There's still a lot of pieces from the border missing. I had no idea what I was doing at this point, and I figured I needed to switch my strategy a bit. And essentially, I had to start doing it based off of patterns and colors. So I started collecting some similar colors here, and seeing if I could finish at least more parts of the puzzles before, so then it will be easier to do the rest. Uh, Actually, looking at this replay now, I think I actually was a bit stubborn and I kept going for the border. Which I think part of me is like is telling myself, you know, this should be easier. Why is this? Why am I struggling here? So, but you know, it's all fun, right? So What I realized later on was there were actually a few missing pieces in this puzzle, which is unfortunate. So that did probably give me a bit of trouble. As you all know, it's probably you can imagine how frustrating it is to have a missing piece in a puzzle. You're looking for one piece that looks so obvious, but you just can't find it, and then you spend time trying to look for it. You think you're blind, and it actually doesn't exist. So you'll see it later once it comes up. But at the very least, here you can see the bird is uh, coming to a bit of a it's shaping up a bit. I was actually a little confused on the orientation. I tried my best not to look at the puzzle on the box. I want to try. I want to try to complete it without having to look at it. Right. So that's a challenge I put for myself for all my puzzles. So it took me a while to figure out like which orientation this little perch that I was sitting on was, and eventually I think I was able to realize it goes this way, and then yeah, I got most of the border for the perch there. The uh, the rest of the bird, again, it is shaping up. But I think what was really difficult was I didn't know where the borders were, and then it's because of the nature of this puzzle. I'm already what's this, an hour and 20 minutes in, and I still don't really have a proper border. I think I have an idea of where things are, but the border pieces, the remaining border pieces, and they are there. I'll say that much, but they weren't missing, but they weren't obvious to find. As you can see, some of the pieces that you might think are borders weren't actually borders, and I think that's what threw me off because I saw a bunch of pieces that had a curve to them, and I was thinking, oh, this must be a border piece, and it's actually they ended up not being a border piece. Um, so yeah, that happened a few times. It definitely slowed me down. If I had to look back and think about what I would change, trying to do this puzzle again, definitely don't try to go for border pieces. This is my first time doing a contour puzzle, and then even though it's only 300 pieces, I felt this took me way longer than I expected. Um, Definitely wouldn't be going for the border pieces this time. For the next time around, if I were to do another contour puzzle. But again, it depends on the puzzle, right? If the border pieces are actually very distinct in color, from the rest of the puzzle, then that's a completely valid strategy, right? So as you can see here at almost the 2 hour mark, I have most of the border done, but I still don't really have it done. I think what I'm doing here is having I'm still matching by not even by shape anymore. Like it's so difficult to measure by shape because the shapes are actually quite um they're non-traditional shapes. So a lot of the shapes have these weird curves on them, and it it it's not the typical double prong, triple prong shapes. It's just weird shapes. So it was very difficult to do this by shape. I think the only strategy I basically used in this puzzle was by color and by puzzle, and sorry, by puzzle, by patterns. So I realized this kind of as I was going. I changed my strategy as I was going. Um, so yeah, it wasn't. It doesn't seem too bad so far, though. I think I was getting the hang of it later, but definitely I felt like like for example, look at how many blue pieces there are. At some point, there were only a few more blue pieces. I put them all together there. I figured, okay, this has to be easier, right? I just had to get all the blue pieces in, and it was actually still harder than I expected. You can see that I struggled a little bit. I think I spent what like 20 minutes on the blue, but there finally it's all done. I think I did end up doing a lot of brute force there. Sometimes that's what you have to do if all you can rely on is the color and potentially some of the pattern. The shapes are not very they're not very reliable here. So I think the biggest one of the biggest things that I struggled with here was um, the colors of the perch and the bird, the underside of the bird. They're very similar in color. There is a slight pattern difference, but In terms of color, they were very similar. So I think most of my issues here were struggling to get those pieces in the right place. I think I mixed them up quite a bit, um, but eventually, I got to it. Surprising how well it's coming together. There it is. Okay, now you can see that it's actually coming together pretty well. Um, so you can see the border pieces are pretty much done now, and I'm actually surprised at how quick I was able to finish this off once those pieces fell in. I think it's because it was disconnected for so long, and the border, like, technically the border finally finished at 2.5 hours, right? So, but once that border was in, then the rest seemed to be quite smooth sailing here. So um, I think at this point it was a bit of brute force, but you can tell that there is a bit of a gradient between the whitish looking color and then the brownish looking color of the bird. So I used that to my advantage, trying to find the gradients, fill them in, and um, yeah, it's just a matter of time now. So honestly, I gave myself about 3 hours to do this. I figured I should do this in less than 3 hours. It's only 300 pieces. Um, and I was actually surprised. I thought I spent way more time than I thought I should have. I thought I was gonna hit, like, I don't know, 4 hours or something, because I felt I was very inefficient. But turns out I actually didn't do that bad. I probably should have done better. I think if this was a traditional puzzle, a traditional rectangular puzzle, I probably would have done this in definitely less than 3 hours. I think the whole contour puzzle threw me off completely, but it was a very fun puzzle because it has a unique challenge, very different than a traditional rectangular puzzle, right? So yeah, this was actually I was very happy with this puzzle, very happy with the results. The only thing I mentioned previously was that the puzzle was actually missing pieces, and missing pieces are never fun. So that was very unfortunate. It looks like there were three missing pieces there, and uh, I think I remember at one point I was trying to fit pieces in, and it just wasn't fitting in, and obviously it's easy to see now, but during the puzzle, like, imagine you were trying to find all these brown pieces, gathering all the brown pieces, trying to fit it into that one corner there, and none of them work, even if you brute force, right? And if you brute force, you should be able to get something in there, right? But if nothing goes in, you brute force, you just wasted your time. So that's a very unfortunate part. And then I think the one thing that I noticed is the I guess where the bird's mouth is. That's a very obvious piece. It's a very distinct color. I thought I was just blind. I was trying to go through all the pieces. I'm like, why can't I find this one piece that should be very obvious to spot? And um, now I know it's because it was missing all this time. So yeah, that was fun. That slowed me down as well. So definitely, if we had a full set of pieces, this definitely would have been done less than 3 hours. But either way, 3 hours on the dot, 3 hours and, I guess, 12 seconds. No, that's not 12 seconds. Is that 12? Yeah, it is 12 seconds. So 3 minutes, 12 seconds. I'll just round it to 3 hours. And yeah, that's what we got. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this puzzle come together as much as I enjoyed putting it together. And definitely, I recommend trying out a contour puzzle if you have never tried a contour puzzle before, because it does present a very unique challenge. You can't just go for the border straight. It's something that I always do as a puzzler, and this is the first time where I did try to go for it, because I figured, oh, you know what? Like, there are some straight edges here. There are some very curvy edges that should be uh, assumed to be the border piece, but I quickly learned that that wasn't the case. So definitely look at the puzzle and see what makes sense, whether it makes sense to go for the borders first or not. In this case, I definitely should have gone for patterns first. Patterns, distinct colors first, um, before trying to go for borders. I think, at the very least, maybe the flat edges would have been okay to go for as borders, but I realized later that some of the flat edges actually were very small because they had some very weird curves in the some of the edge pieces where only a tiny piece actually goes into the edge and the rest goes within the puzzle, right? So yeah, very unconventional shaped pieces uh, gave me a lot of trouble for this. So, but but overall, it was a fun puzzle. I wonder if there are more contour puzzles with more pieces. This was only 300 pieces, and I definitely will keep an eye out for them and try another one in the future. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and also subscribe so you don't miss the next one.